Hello, Bigfoot enthusiasts. Scott here from Squatch America.
And Hannah, the domestic goddess, chief cook, and doggy mom in the paddy wagon tonight.
So, we're going to say hi to Uncle Bones, who was first in the house by about a half an hour, actually. And Renee and Michelle and Angel Nolan and Renee. Oh, I said Renee twice.
Yes.
Because she chatted twice.
Yes. Hi. And Scott. Hey, Scott. We have up for you a pretty fantastic show tonight. If our guest shows up.
Yeah, we're supposed to be doing an interview with Mr. Todd Neiss.
And he gave us a thumbs up, so maybe he's just running late, but we will fill the time with our stellar patter.
Stellar patter. That's it.
Why don't you play that introduction and we'll figure out what to do.
Okay, here we go. Alrighty, folks. So, hey, John and Mike Matthews.
And
how
Donna.
you doing? And Donna and Pyromedic. So, welcome, every folks. Oh, gosh, we have had a whirlwind of the last few weeks.
Hey, Angelique. Nice to see you.
So.
And Danny is in the house.
Hey, Danny. So.
Stellar patter.
Here we go. Hi, Rick. We just got back from Medford.
Got in from Medford. Got back, got in. It feels like, oh
my gosh. I mean,
let's just go through the week.
Our Medford show, we had some great stuff, and we still got to share. Have we shared that one yet? No. We got to share with you what we found in the Medford show that was coming next week. Because we planned on having a guest tonight who's not here yet. So anyway, we're messaging. So there's that. But we had something exciting.
He's not seeing the link. Send me the link to my okay.
I sent him the link.
Okay, so here we go. Scott is going to send me. Scott's going to send me the link, and I'm going to forward it to him. Okay.
Here we go.
Can you do that?
I got it. It's right there. I just sent it to him. He get a thumbs up on it. Okay.
He just lost it. Okay. It happens. Send it to me.
Okay. All right. We're working on. Hey, you're seeing live technology happening right now. We're so sorry. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yes. So anyway, we had a crazy week. The Medford show was fantastic, fan-freaking-tastic. Lots of stories, and our Patreons have gotten a sneak peek of the most exciting part of our story. You can just push. Okay, send it to me. Okay. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Talk to them about that.
So our Patreon, what's going on right now is something very exciting, very, very exciting. We can't really divulge a whole lot right now because it's an investigation underway, as the FBI would say. So we can't really talk to you about a whole lot of stuff that's going on about it.
But we got a report to go look at some awesome prints.
Yes,
that's what we did.
But it's an interesting case. But I'll have to tell you, it involves like a big name Bigfooter. It involves the government. Dun dun dun.
And great big prints.
So that's your sneak preview right there. That was it.
Waiting for Todd to log on because I just sent him the link. I just want to say that there's nothing like squatching in the rain.
There he is.
That will reveal one's true character, and we'll talk about that later.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's in the house. Here we go. Hi, Todd.
Hey, how's it going?
You made it.
Hey. Oh,
Sorry.
Good deal. All right.
okay. Someone outside
Somebody
is
outside, if you hear a car alarm going off in the background, that's not us. Okay, there we go.
Not me.
All right.
okay.
Well, welcome, Todd.
Well, thank you.
Glad you made it.
Yeah, me.
We've already talked about you with everybody, so
Oh, great.
Yeah. Talked about you behind
All
your back.
good, I'm sure.
yes,
What's that?
No,
good.
we want to thank you for coming on our show tonight and for just being willing to share your life, your experiences, your expertise with our audience.
Mhm.
So we're very
That is you.
spontaneous. That is you, and welcome to our lives.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
We
So we always ask everybody who comes on the show, what got you into the Bigfoot realm to start with. So let's start there.
Well, my baptism, if you will, came as quite a shock. Not that it wouldn't anyway, but the fact is, I did not, for a minute, believe in the existence of this species. And so I've never read a book on it. I've honestly never watched any of the TV programs. To me, I was just, I don't know. I mean, you don't grow up around the Pacific Northwest without, hearing about it. But at the same token, I was kind of agnostic, if you will. I couldn't care either way, but it was nothing that really, you know, got any of my attention. That is until April 3rd of 1993 on a Saturday. I was training with the Oregon Army National Guard as a combat engineer. What we do involves a lot of explosives. And so this day was nothing different. We had gone up, got some exclusive permission to get up into this private timber holdings, if you will. They're huge timber holdings, and we had permission to go in there because it was secure. Number one, I mean, certainly we provided our own security. You can imagine, based on working with a lot of explosives, we want to make sure that no civilians are getting in there. But as a second layer, this company that owned the property had their own security patrols in the area. So we just want to make sure there wasn't anybody out there getting themselves in our way and possibly being hurt or killed. So we had 3 different blasting sites, and I'll try to give you the Reader's Digest version because I know we got a lot to talk about. But basically, we had detonated 2 out of the 3 explosives, and these were done in gravel quarries, so as not to set the forest on fire. And we had set the 3rd and final charge, which was about 250 pounds of ammonium nitrate, if I remember correctly, that we had been soaking in diesel fuel for a little bit. We put our blasting caps in it. We were simulating a cratering charge where you would basically blow a road in half so nobody could, the enemy anyway, could not use that avenue. And so we lit the fuses and we got in our rigs. We had 4 vehicles, 2 Humvees up front, a troop transport called a 2.5-ton truck, or a deuce and a half was number 3, and the last one was the commander's Humvee, bringing up the rear. And so I was sitting a passenger behind the driver in that second Humvee. And since I wasn't having to focus on this windy, narrow, logging road, I set about looking around the countryside. It was a beautiful day for especially April in the Coast Range. It was just clear blue sky. And so I had my window unzipped and I had my arm hanging out, and I did what I normally would do if I were even on my own. That was looking for wildlife, right? Because I hunted that area for deer and elk, and so it was natural for me to look around and see what I could see. And what I saw was a lot more than I bargained for. We came around kind of a long sweeping right-hand turn. As we're making this turn, I'm looking out, and the second gravel pit, the one that we had detonated a bunch of C4 plastic explosive in perhaps an hour ago, it comes into view, and I look down there, and here are these three very dark figures standing right out in the open in this gravel pit. And of course, my first thought is, oh my God, what are those people doing there? Because we make sure that that we have 100% integrity, meaning everybody's accounted for, everybody's there's nobody wandering around on their own. But yet here's these three figures. And I hardly got the thought out of my head about, what are those people doing there? When the more I looked, it was like, those aren't people. So what the heck am I looking at? And I had a pretty good long view of them. This wasn't like, something ran across the road in front of my car kind of a sighting. I actually watched them for nearly a half a minute. I estimate about 25 seconds. And I couldn't take my eyes off them. I'm watching these beings, and what I can tell you was, and what convinced me they weren't people, was just the silhouette that they presented. They were definitely watching us. They were all three facing us. I remember the one in the middle was maybe a head taller than the other two, and the other two were not short by any means. And so this profile was very unusual. The arms, for instance, stretched way below their waist. Our hands naturally sit about where our hips are, where our pockets are. These went down below their knees, and I don't believe they were leaning forward, if you will. They were standing straight up with these long arms, and the legs, again, disproportionately long compared to a human, and no clothes. These things were jet black, if not extremely dark brown, but they were very dark, and you would have been able to make out clothing if in fact they were wearing clothing. But the main thing was that as I watched them, that one in the middle, the taller one I was talking about, stood there like a statue. It didn't even flinch. But these two, left and right of the bigger one, exhibited this rocking side to side, swaying back and forth, shifting their foot from the weight of their feet from one foot to the other, and in the process, these long pendulous arms are like swinging below their knees. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. But they did this the entire time I watched it. So for 25 seconds, these two demonstrated this, Watusi, whatever you want to call it. But they were, and I've looked into it just as an aside with some primatologists who told me that's a very typical behavior for primates that feel either agitated or excited, that they will do that. They'll rock back and forth like that. Who knows? I saw what I saw, and I can't unsee it, nor would I if I could. But just to finish up, 25 seconds goes by. We round the corner to where now the quarry's out of sight, and we weren't far from the staging area where we were safely a safe distance from the explosion that was about to go off in a couple minutes. And I just instinctively, as soon as the Humvee came to a stop, I jumped out and I started jogging back up in the direction we had just came from. My hope was to get another view of them. But I would find, here's where that integrity comes in. I went as far as I dared without getting physically out of sight of the rest of the company there, the unit. And unfortunately, it wasn't far enough. It was, God, if I could go another 100 yards, I probably would have seen him again. But I'm waiting, these other two trucks behind me are coming in, and I'm up there standing on my tiptoes, trying to look over this kind of a dirt berm, if you will, alongside the road. I just can't, for the life of me, see over it. And about that time, I heard somebody yell out my name. I heard, "Hey, Neiss." And I look over to my right, and here's Sergeant Martin walking my direction. And as he's walking toward me, he goes, "What you looking at?" And I drop my hand on my side, and I say, nothing. Which technically true, but anyway, interesting that he would ask, right? So
Yeah.
he ends up walking all the way up to me. I remember he was smoking on a cigarette. He gets right up to me, and he kind of looks left and right, makes sure nobody else is in earshot, and looks me dead in the eyes and says, "I don't suppose you saw what I saw back at that second blast site." And I'm like, I don't know, Jeff. What did you see? My luck is like, well, there was this elk. Like no, he shot right back with. I saw 3 huge hair-covered Bigfoot. I guess I don't know. And I looked at him, and of course, at that, I went, "Yep."
Yep.
I saw him, and just to wrap it up, as time went on, again, I was in the National Guard, so we were training 1 week in the month, so we wouldn't be getting back together for another drill until first part of May. And when we did, we actually had 2 more soldiers come forward and admit to seeing what Jeff and I had seen. So it's a unique, and I've read thousands of reports, but it's unique in the sense that obviously what we were doing, but multiple creatures are pretty rare, and multiple eyewitnesses are rare. But when you put it all together, multiple creatures, multiple eyewitnesses, we're blowing up the damn forest.
Yeah.
It does kind of stand out, I guess, a little bit. And I don't take any. Again, it was not in my hands. It was. I don't know if you say right place, right time, or what, but I have. I struggled for a long time trying to figure out what I was going to do about this, and it was, to me, why me? That's a question I kept coming back to, and ultimately, I believe it was intended that I see them, and so what's the purpose? And my purpose, over time, was to found the American Primate Conservancy. With it's a nonprofit organization based on science and education, but our mission statement is the discovery, research, knowledge, recognition, which is key for the fifth part, which is protection. You're not going to get anything protected if you can't get them officially recognized. So
right.
We're kind of at that stage, because really discovery happens all the time. It's been happening for hundreds of years, if not thousands. Research is being done, data is getting collected. We're getting more and more information all the time. It's that recognition part, and that's something that the Conservancy is working on, and we can kind of circle back to that if you want in a little bit. But anyway, in a nutshell, that is how I got involved, and believe me, that's the short version.
Yeah, I understand.
But I'm not telling it. I'm literally reliving it when I speak about it.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. I mean, I had my sighting 4 years ago, and there's that thing that was happening to me too. I had a juvenile looking at me doing this. Yeah. So,
and I look for that too, by the way. I do watch for that. And I have found dozens dozens of encounters that where they exhibit that trait,
Hmm.
that behavior.
Very interesting. All right, so we got a few topics that you want to talk about tonight that I want to get into too. It sounds very interesting. So we have just we're doing a series of sportsman shows right now that we're up and down the, we were in Eugene, Roseburg, Medford, and now we're in Anderson, California. And
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe we do these sportsman shows, and you wouldn't believe the number of people who come forward and tell me stories.
Oh yes,
Because
I would,
all these,
because I was just at, my wife and I were just at the Portland Sportsman Expo. So
nah,
you didn't make that one though, did you?
mm-mm,
No, but
no,
we went, and I know Brett and Jill, the creators of Flash of Beauty,
Flash of
uh,
Beauty, yeah.
Bigfoot Revealed. They went, and both of us came back with a number of stories just in casual talk. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, we just ran into a bunch of them, actually, and so and I'm actually speaking at these. We have like uh,
Symposium.
a symposium kind of deal where people can come in and sit down and we talk. I actually get to talk Bigfoot with these outfitters,
Oh, very
and
cool.
and it's kind of interesting, in fact. But some of the guys who are these professional outfitters that take people out hunting and stuff, I've had a couple of them pull me aside, don't and then they say, "Don't tell anybody I told you this, but this is what happened to
Mhm.
me," kind of stuff. Yeah,
Well, they're the ones out there, right? So
yeah,
that
exactly.
it's a perfect venue for that kind of thing.
Yeah, it really is. So, anyway, so I want to get into some of the subjects you want to talk about, and I want to jump right into the more wooey thing is the invisibility stuff. What's your
Mm.
take on that? Because I get a lot of questions about that all the time.
So, good question. That if we were talking about some individual anecdotal story, I just go, okay, you saw something that wasn't there a second ago, and then it disappeared while you're looking at it. And, no, but I've heard it way too many times, and amongst good friends of mine, who I'm not going to doubt that they experience something, and my question is perhaps their interpretation of what they saw, because you know I'm one of these biological minded people where um, I look for examples in nature of any other creature that can do what they're claiming they can do, and then we can talk. But in this case, in these cases, what I've there was another issue that I kind of put in that, what do we call it, the paranormal, the supernatural, the woo, whatever you want to call it. I put in that category this invisibility thing, this cloaking uh, behavior, this stepping through different portals or being interdimensional. I'm sorry, I can't buy that. But what I can do is say, yes, I believe you had an experience, and this is how you interpreted it. Now let's, can I'm trying to stand on that third rail, if you will, between science and the supernatural. It's a little risky, but again, 100 people can't all be wrong. But can we think outside the box? Can we find something in nature that mimics uh, what I would consider the ultimate camouflage?
Hmm.
And what I discovered was in my research is it kind of blew me away. I mean, if I bring this up at conferences when I talk, is okay. Raise your hand if you can tell me what color a polar bear is. Well, everybody's going to say white. Well, guess what? They're not. The fact is, and it's easily provable. I mean, you just Google that. The polar bear has its main coat of fur, hair, fur. but it has this extended, what you call guard hairs that stick out just beyond that other fur, which is actually more tannish than white. But
Mhm.
the interesting thing about these guard hairs is they're translucent. They don't have a core. They're almost like fiber optic wire, if you
I
will.
was going there already. Yep.
Okay, so what it and what that does for the polar bear is it gives it the ultimate camouflage because these fiber optic hairs, if you want to, play along, they they absorb their surrounding light, the ambient color, and even transmit heat down into the base coat, down to the skin, which is black, by the way. But no, polar bears are not white per se. They will take on those that light and color around them. And so, what I've done, or I'm in the process of doing, is I want to get a bear hide. I haven't yet. I almost had one, and somebody beat me to it. But I've got a big beaver pelt. You have to do it on a smaller scale, I suppose. But what I intend to do is take photographs of this pelt in the forest in certain positions and under specific lighting, and then I'm going to bring it back to my office, and I'm going to start infusing. I've got 1,000 feet of fiber optic um, wire, if you will, or cable. I don't know. It looks kind of like 60-pound fishing line. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I'm going to infuse that into the fur of this beaver pelt. Then I'm going to take it right back to the same location under the same lighting and just see if these fiber optic fibers that are protruding just slightly beyond the natural fur, whether they'll take on that same sort of capability. And my gut tells me it will. Now, if we already know a creature exists that has this capability, so I can buy into that. And when I think about these other folks that are saying, hey, it was there, came out of nowhere, disappeared into no, I'm thinking it's still there. You just can't see it, especially if it's standing still. And if they have the same kind of camouflage capability as a polar bear, then maybe that's the key to what people are seeing. And it's that cloaking thing. There's some other phenomena that I've experienced that again I put in the supernatural category that I had to eat my lunch over because lo and behold, and I'm working on those theories as well. But anyway, that's my goal. That's one of my projects that we're working on.
That's a great experiment. I mean, I you know I have seen a lot of, well, we know that a lot of the hair samples that are attributed to Bigfoot does not have the medulla in it. So
Nope.
that goes right along with that camouflage ability.
Yeah, bear with me a second.
I gotcha. So,
While he steps away, why don't we take this opportunity for a quick station identification?
okay, yeah, we're going to do our
Yay.
little commercial real quick. So I'm going to put him on mute.
I don't know what commercial we're doing, but we'll
We're going
figure
to
it
do
out.
one of them, and then we'll get to the chat here. So get your questions ready. That was the wrong button.
How about
So if you need some of our merch to help pay for our travels, basically, here it is.
there we go.
Go to
Um,
squatchamerica.com.
yes, lots of different designs. There are 3 different brand t-shirts online in a variety of colors and styles. We have hats and mugs available and some, like, I don't know, Van Gogh meets Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Van Gogh.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, and let's talk about Nomad Internet. So yesterday, actually 2 nights ago, Scott came into the bedroom and said, "Why did our internet just take a tank?" Well, by that time it was 9:30 at night, and I knew we weren't going to do anything about it. So first thing yesterday morning, I got on the chat with the Nomad service rep. I said, "Hey, our internet took a tank," and I had double checked. Yes, the bill was paid, so we were good there. And he said, I've forwarded this to the tech team. It will be resolved by the day's end. So we got in the truck, drove away. And as soon as we parked here, we got set up, plugged in the internet, and boom, it was fine. So whatever happened, it was resolved before the day's end. Nomad has been really, really consistent with making sure we have service wherever we go. So please, if you are looking for great rural and mobile internet service, visit nomadinternet.com/ScottViolette, and your purchase with them will give us a tiny little bump in our bank account, just a tiny bit.
So remember, and if you get a chance, please join us on Patreon, because we've already talked about what we're doing with our Patreon money. We are recently connected with Fallen Outdoors, and what that is, it's a group who takes vets out hunting, and we are going to be taking vets out bigfooting at this point.
We really want to start giving back and giving some more motion to the money that comes in. So anyway,
that's it. Let's get back to the shoe here. Yeah, I wanted to
don't remove him,
Mike. I know we're going there. All right.
Okay.
I get that a lot, actually.
Don't remove him.
Don't remove him. Yeah. No, so, and something else you talked about, I'm retired military too, U.S. Army, 11 Bravo, if you know what that is.
Oh, yeah. Lead slinger.
yeah, we're bullet collectors. but I actually I went to quite a few of the schools over my career, and SEER school and stuff like that. So I learned, if I want to be invisible in the woods, I can, And so, and like something you said, just be still. I've had people walk on top of me, laying in the woods, in outdoor practices and stuff that we've been doing.
Heck, our dog is invisible in the woods.
Yeah. So it's not impossible. Even if you got a little bit of camouflage, that's all you need, and the ability to be still.
Right, that's the key.
Yeah, and I actually tell people this one story we got from this gentleman who saw Bigfoot, and this was actually up on Mount Hood, and really? He said he's
my backyard.
Yeah, he saw one in the middle of nowhere. This was just out of Estacada, the Bigfoot Highway area, but he said he saw it off in the woods, and it turned and walked away from him, and he actually went after it. And he said he was running through the woods, and it just vanished on him. He said he couldn't figure out where it went. He turned around and started walking back, and he saw it standing behind him. He had actually ran by it. It just sidestepped him.
I might have heard that story.
Yeah, it's probably the same one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's amazing how quiet something that big can be, but they're very, very stealthy. That's for sure. Oops. That's why they're so hard to find. But
exactly,
they're out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we got 3 more amazing talking points here.
Yeah, we do. So I want to get to the eye shine later, because we did a whole show on that. But what's your thoughts on the intelligence? I have my own ideas on it.
Yeah, so this is something that I've decided to get into, and the starting point is really the very basic definition of what is intelligence, and how do we measure that. And it's interesting is that as humans, we have what they call an intelligence quotient, an IQ, and that's a general means test to figure out what level your intelligence is at. But the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, well, a human being 200 years ago, let's see, in the early 1800s, late, what would their IQ be compared to a modern human, or somebody from today's culture, and obviously it'd be different. But does that make that person any less intelligent than a modern day person who's been exposed to technology and all the things that, it certainly gives them an advantage. So then I'm like, okay, so if we took it back further to say Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal, are they any stupider? In fact, it could be argued that in a primitive sense, they're actually smarter. In a survival situation, they have more intelligence than modern man, And so I started playing around with this theory of PIQ versus AIQ, AIQ being academic intelligence quotient versus primitive intelligence, or I should say primal intelligence quotient. And if we dare look at it in those categories, and God knows there's probably more categories that could come up, but I'm just as example, these two. If there were a test for primal intelligence quotient, I think a lot of us would fail miserably. And it's not that we never had it, because we did at one time. Human beings had no choice but to have primal intelligence. And what we've done over time is substituted that primal intelligence for technology and for convenience. And, in the long run, we're slowly but surely losing that primal intelligence. And God help us if, I mentioned this at the conference, it's like if God forbid, China, Russia, somebody ended up detonating an EMP over the United States, an electromagnetic pulse weapon, it would shut down the entire electric grid. Now think about all the things we depend on for electric grid. We're not just talking AC, we're talking DC. So we're talking car batteries, we're talking generators, we're talking the power grid, we're talking everything. We can't cook our food, we can't refrigerate our food, we can't pump gas because the pumps need electricity. Even if there was fuel available, I mean, in lights and everything. In a case like that, you tell me who's got more intelligence. In a case like that, it would not affect this species that we're discussing one iota. They don't need it. They've never needed it. And they will thrive, and we'll probably suffer the consequences. So that's where, that's kind of the theory I've been batting around as far as, let's not dismiss the fact that they may be in certain ways more intelligent than us. Who knows? So that's my theory on that.
Yeah, I have my theory is they're tool using intelligence, not tool making intelligence, but I could be wrong. I don't know if I've ever found stories of people of seeing them start sharpen sticks, that sort of thing, but they can use them. I had one guy swore he found a walking stick that a Bigfoot was using to walk with. It was like 8 feet tall and it was huge, but that one's a little, I don't know, but maybe, kind of deal. But they don't need tools. They have them. Their tools up here. I mean, they know their surroundings and how to live in their surroundings and survive.
Well, on that note, I have, so we've all heard stories about quote unquote tree structures, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm on the fence as far as the vast majority of them. Mm-hmm. Mostly from what I've seen could be accounted for by weather phenomena. Mm-hmm. But over the course of, it'll be 30 years come this April that I've been researching. I've identified 4 structures that defy weather phenomena that are standalone. In other words, so nothing else even anywhere in the area. Which again, if you're dealing with weather, it's going to affect all the neighboring forests. Similarly, I'm talking standalone, field expedient shelter that is engineered. And by that I mean when you walk underneath one of these, first of all, these trees, and mostly, at least in our area here, we're in the Pacific Northwest, we're dealing with the alders mostly, and we're talking 6 to 8 inch diameter alders. They were either uprooted, partially uprooted, I should say, pulled over, if you will, part like this, and then another one comes this way, and another one comes that way, and they come from every part of the compass, like spokes almost. But if you get underneath, you can literally reverse engineer it just simply by looking at, okay, what's the bottom tree? What's the one on, right above my head? Okay, it came from over there. What's the second one? Well, look, it came from the opposite direction, or 90 degrees, 100 degrees over here. The third one, I mean, that just doesn't happen. I found 2 in Washington State and 2 in Oregon. But so when we talk about tool use, which is kind of how I segued there, they certainly can manipulate, as far as I'm concerned, they can manipulate things in nature to suit their purposes.
Yeah.
And whether you want to call that a tool or not, I don't know. I'll tell you though, some of these 6 to 8 inch alders were snapped off like 2 feet above the ground. Like I say, the others were halfway uprooted, but they all converged in one spot. They were very, like I say, a very field expedient. When I think about this, the individual that constructed this would have to basically survey a particular spot and realize, okay, there's a clearing here, but I've got trees that will reach that clearing. And I mean, so there's some thought into it, but we deal with field expedient shelters, in the military. I would say these things could probably construct one of those in 15, 20 minutes if they wanted to. But I will say that the foliage, the way it interlocked, and was at least in all 4 cases, at least 10 feet above the ground. So there's plenty of room to walk under there. Those things were constructed, and like I say, you could walk quarter of a mile around this entire, these structures. You won't find another one. So, do they use tools? I think they certainly can. I think one of their go-tos is rocks. I honestly believe that that's their weapon of choice, if you will, for hunting, for protection, or getting people's attention. But they have an amazing amount of strength. You can throw a rock the size of a bowling ball at quite a distance, at high speed and extremely accurately. From all the accounts that I've talked about, if you could do that, if you got some deer out in the meadow, you don't have to kill one with a rock. You just have to cripple it, and then it's a matter of catching it. It'd be a very, very efficient means of hunting. And you hear all the time about these things throwing rocks near eyewitnesses, and I think that's just kind of an attention hello kind of behavior. But God help you, if they wanted to hurt you, they could very easily do that. And people talk about that all the time. Well, what's their demeanor? What's their how do they react under this circumstance or that? And I'm like, let's just comparing it to humans. They're all different. They all have different personalities. There's good ones. There's bad ones. There's ones that have a crappy day, and all of a sudden a good one can be a bad one, and depending on the circumstances. If you've got a kill nearby or some offspring nearby. You know, it's all, yeah, by and large, I think you can say they're fairly docile. They're very reclusive, and that's the way they like it. 9 times out of 10, once they realize they've been compromised, they stand up and walk away. Um, but anyway, so rocks, sticks, walking sticks, trees. I mean, they can. I think they can do a lot with regards to, and that again goes back to intelligence.
Yep. In fact, one of our guys, one of our Blackbeard says,
What if they are smart enough to know that making obvious tools is the same as making evidence that could endanger them if found?
yeah.
Um, um, I do they cover their tracks? Literally, I don't know.
yeah.
But that's a very good question. I'm gonna put that on my list. But
yeah.
I can tell you this: there was a place, this campground shut down now. It's called Billy Goat Campground up on the Malala River, and there had been several encounters there. A particular family I knew had several encounters, some pretty close encounters, and they would like they'd go for a hike, come back, and I was like, "Where's the frying pan?" Um, or where's the plastic bowl? Or where's and over time they actually found a stash where these things were coming in and like going, I like that. It's pretty. I'm going to take it. But yeah, they were kind of busted on that one. They were just, it wasn't a pack rat. I mean, some of these items were pretty good size. So, a newspaper, the Sunday Oregonian, remember when they were actually big? Yeah, they found that in that same stash pile. There was a bunch of stuff, and it looked like it had been collecting stuff from campers for years. Didn't know what to do with it, but by God, they wanted it.
So, yeah, it's fun. That's neat. Yeah. Yeah, I attribute a lot of stuff that happens in the Bigfoot world to teenage boys, Bigfoot teenage boys. They're pranksters. I kind of think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can be.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, Hannah, last summer we had a stick thrown at her out of the woods. It wasn't very big. It actually hit her, but it was small. But it came from nowhere. That was the weird part.
Mm-hmm.
We were on a road. There's no trees over us, and it just came up over
end over end off the hill.
Off the hill at her. So
I hear that quite a bit. In fact, right up here on Mount Hood, on the west side, there's a horse camp there. It's called the Riley Horse Camp, and I've been working with a couple. In fact, I'm planning to get back together with them this summer. They bring their horses up there to exercise them because they do endurance racing with them. And for 3 years, they've had rocks and sticks thrown out right in front of them as they're riding their horses in the middle of nowhere. And I tell you, the route they take is 13 miles long, and not very many people do it by foot. But there's nobody around. And they said it happens all the time. Oh, there goes another rock. Oh, look, they threw a stick. They've had, yeah. I got to take, just again, a little segue. They had this encounter that I thought was amazing. This is the year before I went up and joined them with Joe Beelart to look around. So, Mama likes to ride the horses, and she's got a couple of Arabs she rides. But Daddy likes to ride electric e-bike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's got like one of these off-road e-bike things. So he'll follow her and the horses around on that e-bike. Well, they came back from a long jaunt with the horses. They got to this stream that was wasn't really deep, but it was running pretty fast. And he's like, last thing I want to do is drop an electric bike in the water. So he asked his wife if she would dismount, help him get it across the river, and she did. And she waded back, got on her horse, and off they went. And they got about half a mile from the campground. There's a big old meadow that he showed me. And when they got there, she goes, "Ah, crap. I accidentally left my riding crop on the other side of the river when I, got back on the horse, and it's expensive. I want to go get it." So she said, "Wait here. I'll be back in, 10, 15 minutes." So he did. He waited there, and it was just around twilight. So the sun had gone down, plenty of light to see with. And he's looking out in this meadow, and there's this big, huge figure standing out there, and it was actually at one point doing that rocking back and forth thing, and then it started moving toward him, and it was probably 200 yards away to start with, and it closed within less than 100 yards, and he was freaking out. The wife, she finally came back, and apparently her and the horse spooked this thing off, and he was getting concerned because it was coming toward him, and he didn't know why, and it's getting dark. And so he's going, honey, you wouldn't believe what I just saw. And he goes on and describes this thing, and it's 200 yards, now it's 100 yards, now it's 80 yards, and it's coming toward me, blah, blah, blah. She looked at him just deadpan, and she goes, "Oh, I believe you. I just passed 4 of them on the way back."
Oh, that's cool.
She didn't see it when she went down to get her crop. I'm coming back. She says, "I think I split up a family or something." She goes, "There were 2 on the hill above the trail to my right and 2 just down below the trail on my left." I mean, could you imagine? You wouldn't believe what I saw. Oh, yeah, I saw 4 of them.
Yeah, that's funny.
I imagine your grandma saying something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? Lockbeard again said something. He said it's a Bigfoot counting coup, perhaps. You know what? I actually have a Native American friend in Cave Junction, and he told me that. He said Bigfoot counts coup. They like to mess with you, and and play tag with you, basically.
And,
Yep.
and I'm with you. I think in most cases we're probably dealing with adolescent juveniles that are in that not quite adult mode, and they like to play. And yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, we have one of our people on the show. Angelique said she had a pine cone thrown at her in the middle of a field, no trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. So
I just want to answer the question. Pyro asked if I fired back after that stick with an E sharp. I don't know. Did I drop an F bomb?
I think you dropped an F.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Quite possible.
Yeah.
Quite possible.
So I'm gonna take a second real quick and let everybody know where we're gonna be, and then I'm gonna ask you that last question here about the eye shine, okay?
And then he also his upcoming project.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about
and if we need to go over, we can go over.
We can go over a little bit. That's no problem. Okay, so tomorrow, folks, we are going to be at the NorCal Boat and Sports and RV Show. This weekend, I actually will be speaking on Saturday and Sunday in this show. What?
Are you taking that spot that unexpectedly opened up?
Yes. Yes. So
we had one of our speakers call in sick, so Scott's taking his spot.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing that. So I hope the people who's coming to hear about wolves are going to hear about Bigfoot instead. So there's that.
Maybe they keep wolves as pets.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Then we are headed down to Falk, Arkansas, in April 29th. We'll be speaking with Mr. Lyle Blackburn, Jerry Heston, and Chester Moore. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Since I saw him years ago on what was that movie? The show I was Southern Fried Bigfoot. Jeff Stewart, and of course myself down there, and then we're going to Elgin, Oregon, for the Bigfoot train. And hopefully our good friend Dara Addington will be on the train with
She
us.
already said she would.
I know. So
She's probably lurking on the chat right
yeah,
now.
I know she probably is too. All right. And then we are going to actually, before that, I think Beachfoot's in there, but then we're headed to the 2023 on July 22nd. I'm saying everything military backwards.
July 22nd, 2023 will be at the Glide Sasquatch Festival.
That's it, in Glide, Oregon. Yes, there's a place called Glide. All right, so there's that. All righty, so let's talk ice shine, Mr. Neiss.
Yeah, well, it's a topic I didn't really want to talk about prior to some experience I had. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I'd kind of put this in the category of supernatural or paranormal, what have you. Only, again, because I could not identify any other biological creature in nature that has that capability. Now, since then, because I was kind of forced to, I have found some similar attributes in other creatures. But
Mhm.
now, just getting to my own experience with this, and again, it took me 28 years of not seeing eye shine, but hearing about it all the time to actually experience it, and it was completely unexpected on my part. I had been invited to the, I think it's okay to say this, it's out there, but I mean, the Omaha Indian Reservation in Macy, Nebraska.
Mhm.
And for those of you that haven't been to Nebraska, yeah, it's everything you thought it is in terms of flat and corn and soybeans as far as you can see, except for the eastern boundary of the reservation is actually the Missouri River. And all along the river, there's actually a pretty good section of rolling hills and hardwoods, and it's actually pretty thick. And this gentleman invited me to come out, and I spent a week there. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to show you something. We've got this area we go to at night. Actually, technically morning. We were going there like from midnight to like 2, sometimes 2:30 in the morning. And this is a small 2-lane road, and we didn't even have to leave the road. It was, just to make it more bizarre. We pulled over this one and only spot you could pull over. There was a break in the guardrail where there used to be an old logging road. Pulled over there, turned off all the lights. We walked across the road. We're looking at the pitch black. I mean, you would not be able to see the hand in front of your face, that dark. We didn't have any lights with us at all. My native friend, while we're standing there on that road looking out in the forest, he says, "I'm going to call to them. They know me, you know." And he'd been established a relationship with this group, if you will, for about 2.5 years at that time, probably 3.5 now. They seemed to know him. Anyway, he would call out, "Aho, Kage," which means "Hello, friends."
Mhm.
And we'd sit there, and he might do it a second time, and all of a sudden, off in the distance, maybe 100 feet, maybe 120 feet away, there's these two lights. And trust me, very skeptical. Okay, they told me what time to be there. Then he told me what it'd be. This could be staged. I don't know. But then off to the right of that one, maybe a little farther back, there's another set of lights. And then he would call them and say, "Gigaho," which means "come closer." And in some cases, they actually did. Now, we couldn't see what's generating these points of light that look like damn eyeballs. I'm telling you, you could see them blink. A lot of people ask me what color they were, and they changed depending, I believe, on whether they were staring directly at you
Mm-hmm.
or if they were maybe looking over at the guy standing next to you. If they're looking directly at you, they were pretty bright white. People talk about them being red or whatnot, and I saw that again. If they turn their attention, their eyesight away from me, they would go anywhere from a orange to a reddish color, if not blank out altogether because turned completely away. But if they were tracking directly on you, they were white. Well, this went on. So if anybody said to me on any given day, how'd you like to see Bigfoot? I'll show you one today. I'd go, yeah, sure. If that same person came to me and said, I will show you numerous Bigfoot and I'll do it 5 nights in a row, I would say, in two different locations. Um, so, Scott, and this is what I dealt with. And again, midnight to 2, 3 in the morning, I actually, in the two locations, there were some amazing things that went on. And I don't mean, there were just this eye shine effect, which I believe is the tedium in their eyes that will reflect light in cases and amplify light. And I think in this case, light that we as humans are incapable of seeing
Mm-hmm.
in its, just looking out there. But there's always light. There's always light, whether it's even on an overcast day. But you've got obviously your lunar light, your moonlight, you've got the zodiac light from the stars. There's always, but we as humans are not able, we don't have night vision, but we do know other animals do. And in those cases, the tapetum is a reflective membrane that
Mm-hmm.
sits behind the retina and the optic nerve. And
The
what it
tatum
does is whatever,
lucidum.
exactly. And as it comes in, it reflects back out, and that for them amplifies that light. And for us, I think, let's take this to a degree. Well, just real quick, getting back to this example I saw. When I got back from the reservation, there was a show on, and I think you can still find it. It's called Earth at Night, and they're filmed with night vision, with thermal vision. They're filming wildlife all over the world, and uh, there were certain animals, specifically in the feline category, that were putting off amazing amounts of light to the point where they said even without night vision, we could see those eyes under the right lighting. So that's what I think's going on. But again, it wasn't just the eye shine; it was vocalizations that were coming from the same area. I did go back there. A couple days into it, I went back there by myself, and I wanted to see this in the daylight. I wanted to see exactly what I couldn't see during the night. Each chance there's some other source of ambient light in the background that's just getting, taken out of context, which I didn't expect to find. And I found out that the background was like a big hill that was like almost like an amphitheater. So there was no chance of any light to come through. But the vocalizations, that's what really cinched it for me.
Mm-hmm.
First night we got there, there was what I assume was a female because it was really, really high pitched, very loud, coming off in the distance. And I swear, she was singing. And by singing, I'm talking, she would do like a 5 to 6 second long verse, if you will, a little chorus. that changed in pitch, it changed in notes, it changed in volume, it changed in rhythm, all within 6 seconds. And then there would be a break, a pause, and then she would do it again. She did a total of 4 times, and each and every time she did exactly the same notes, the same. It was anytime you've got that kind of repetition, there is a meaning to it, and it wasn't scary at all. It was very, very welcoming, if you ask me.
Wow.
And
We
we
have
had all kinds of other sounds as well.
we have 2 music teachers in the house. We have a place in the Bigfoot world.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Scott Dunbar,
Anyway.
we're good to go.
Yeah. Anna.
Anyway, I had actually told, I spoke with Brett and Jill about this. They came by the house and we discussed a little bit. And I said, you know me, I don't kid around. I'm telling you, if I would put a 95% chance on if you go back there, you will experience the same thing I did. And lo and behold, they did. They flew back to Omaha City and then drove up to the reservation and spent time with the same individuals. And I remember Brett calling me from the field at night, and he's like, "Brother, I'm looking right at them right now as we talk. I'm seeing these things, and they're moving around, and they're blinking, and they're yeah." So I got a feeling we're going to get treated to some of the film they took when they went back there with the new sequel coming out, which should be coming out pretty soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Donna had a question. I wonder if that singing was mating calls.
Well, it's kind of scary. I will say this. That day I went back during the daylight, unannounced, thinking I'm going to put a microphone of the tape recorder, digital tape recorder up where I assume these things are. And I assumed, because we were seeing them at 2 or 3 in the morning, that they were probably sleeping during the day. So I parked my rental car and I hiked up the hill to where I assumed they were at and went to set up the tape recorder. Before I could get it set up, that female went off again from the same direction. She only did 1 verse, but it was exactly like she did it 3 nights earlier. It was amazing.
I think she was courting you, man.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, if that's the case, I think I ticked off her boyfriend, because right after she did that, I got six rapid fire tree knocks that were amazing. It was just like,
oh yeah, wow.
Get off my girl.
yeah. So I'm like, I'm out of here. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of, it's kind of funny. There's actually an old time, one of my favorite old time Bigfooters, Datus Perry. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Yeah, yeah. He always had a saying. He had a female Bigfoot that would hang around his cabin. He wouldn't go outside because he didn't know her intentions with him, as he used to say.
Oh my God, I remember him.
Yeah, yeah. So, so what you got coming up?
So next Wednesday, I'm actually giving a class to an outdoor school. So these are going to be 7 and 8-year-old kids spending a week along the Sandy River. This is the 3rd year I've been asked to do this. And it's all part of that component of the Conservancy being based on science and education. This is the educational component. I've done Bigfoot camps, campouts, weekend-long campouts with inner city kids through the Audubon Society, and we did that 3 different years in a row. So, but kids are curious, and I wish somebody would have talked to me about this stuff when I was younger. I probably, who knows, but anyway, so Wednesday I'll be giving a talk at the Camp Collins. Following Sunday, is going to be the premiere of a documentary, actually a TV series, which I've played a part in. Wow, I'm back to about June. This production company flew me out to New York to film an episode, and they've just been apparently putting together episodes and pitching this. Well, it got picked up, and so it'll be airing Sunday at 10 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know if it's going to be the episode I was in or not, but anyway, so that's just coming off the press, and it's going to be like a weekly thing. I just received information from a producer that has asked me to be a part of actually a cast member on a new upcoming TV series on Bigfoot, and we've been talking about this for 14 months, but apparently I just got a message from him yesterday saying that he was just got done pitching it to the Travel Channel, I believe, and they were meeting to discuss funding that series. So, but there may be some other platforms that they're going to be working. And in that case, they told me he planned to be on the road for 3 to 4 months. So I've really not been trying to line up a lot of, engagements, conferences, and whatnot, not knowing when they're going to start shooting. But I got a feeling it's going to be sooner than later. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and you were in. Oh my gosh, the word something of beauty. What just went out of my head? Oh my gosh.
Oh, Flash of Beauty.
Flash of Beauty. Yes, that's what it is. And is there a 2 coming?
Yes. It's the next one's going to be a Flash of Beauty paranormal Bigfoot. So
okay.
It's going to be a little bit different.
Different.
Yeah. Just the name of the program, and I'm not sure. I know there's a couple venues in Canada because they're from Canada that's going to be playing them. It's called what the hell's it called? It's called Mission Unexplained, and it's actually you'll probably dig it, Scott, because it's all about military people that have had strange encounters.
Oh, interesting.
During their service. Yeah. So Mission Unexplained, Sunday, March 12th, 10 o'clock.
That sounds fun.
Cool. Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of things going on that way. I've got 4 more podcasts I think to do this week. I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. So
anyway.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Todd, for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. And you gave me a lot of stuff to think about, especially that hair thing. I love that idea about that experiment.
I'll let you know.
Wait to hear.
Here's my ad.
American Primate
Conservative.
Conservancy.
Yep.
So it is a nonprofit, folks. So if you click over there and give a donation, you can count it off on your taxes.
That would be wonderful.
Right. That's AmericanPrimate.org.
Okay.
Okay.
All
awesome.
right.
And we will put that in the show notes if it's not there already.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So thank you so
much.
much.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to have you back again. Tell your dear wife hello.
Yeah.
I will, but she's in Arkansas right now.
Good for her. We're headed there.
We're headed that way.
Yeah, I might be there myself. In fact, last time I was back there in December, I had the opportunity to go to Falk, and had a great time.
All 3 blocks of it.
Yeah, but we've got some good folks, and they took us on the boat ride up toward Boggy Creek, and
how fun!
Yeah, we had a good time. But so, what are you going to be over there again?
It's April 29th. They're going to do the Falk Monster Fest, and then we are going to. We're actually going to hang out with Keith Crabtree after that a little bit and do some squatching with him. We'll see what happens. All right.
It'd be fun. I'll probably be there sooner than that. I'm thinking first week of April, but I've got a a new travel trailer I've got to pull over there.
Oh, how fun.
We saw that.
We'll actually be there. Well, we won't be in Falk, but prior to that, about when you're going to be down there, we'll be over in Texas in where are we at? Lake Tawakoni area. So
Just outside of Emory,
yeah, Emory, Texas,
our
and
retirement home of choice.
yeah, next to the Sabine River. Go look for our Sabine thing. All right.
So, well,
All right. So thank you, Todd.
You bet.
We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, folks, if you have not already done this, please like. If you're on YouTube, first of all, thank you for being with us tonight, for getting all the way to the end. YouTube is kind of trying to kill long form content. So the more of you that stay with us, the more that you're telling YouTube what you want. Click like, subscribe, share this video. Just click it now. Share into the universe. You don't even have to say anything. Just click share and get it out there. And all 5 of you on Facebook, thank you for being with us. So
remember,
our job is to investigate the unexplained,
not to explain the uninvestigated.
So until next week, again, thank you. And you keep watching.
And we'll keep squatching.
Bye now.
Go out and find Bigfoot.